Hello, my name is Beaumont Yin, and here is my OQOV take-home quiz. I actually chose Google Slides as my format of presentation because my handwriting is really messy. Alright, for my first problem, I chose page 14, problem number 97. In 1990, Penn State University had enrollment of 75,365 students. By 2009, the enrollment had increased to 87,163. So for these types of word problems, I like to analyze the problem and find the key words and numbers of the problem. So I found 1990 and 75,365, 2009 and 87,163. Part A. What was the annual change in enrollment from 1990 to 2009? For this problem, I set the enrollment rate and the year into a fraction, and I subtracted it by 1990 and its enrollment number. For this, each year, the annual increase or annual change in enrollment was 620.95. For Part B, use the average annual change in enrollment to estimate the enrollments in 1995, 2000, and 2005. For this part, since we were given 1990 and its enrollment number, and we found the annual change, I subtracted 1995 by 1990 because those were the years, and I got 5. I plugged 5 into this slot, and 5 times 620.95 plus 75,365 is 78,470 enrollments in 1995. I did the same for 2000 and 2005 by subtracting it from 1990, getting 10 and 15, plugging in to the equation, adding by the number of enrollments in 1990, and I got 81, 57, and 5 in 2000, 84,679 in 2005. Part C. Write the equation of the line that represents the given data. What is its slope? Interpret the slope in the context of the problem. For the equation, here's my equation. F of x equals 620.95 and x minus 1990 plus 75,365 for x is greater than 1990. This is similar to the last problem, and once you plug in x, for example 2000, you would subtract it from 1990, multiply it by 620.95, and add this number. X is the year, and the slope is the average increase in the annual rate of enrollment for Penn State University based on the number of enrollments from 1990 to 2009. The next problem I chose was page 98, problem number 65. The height y in feet of a punted football is approximated by y equals negative 16 over 25 x squared plus 9 over 5 x plus 3 over 2, where x is the horizontal distance in feet or from where the football was punted. For part A, we had to use a graphing utility to graph the path of the football. For this part, I used Desmos, and here we go. We have a curve and a maximum. How high is the football when it is punted? The y-intercept. We have to find the y-intercept for this problem. So the starting point, or y-intercept, we get this by when x equals 0. So if we plug in 0 for these two variables, 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 16 over 2025 is 0, 0 times 9 over 5 is 0, So, which leaves us with 3 over 2, which is our y-intercept and when, or how high the football was when it was punted. Part C, what is the maximum height of the football? Here's the equation. For this part, we're going to need to find this. For this, we have A and B. A is the coefficient of the first term. B is the coefficient of the second term, which is negative 16 over 2025. And B is 9 over 5. We plug it into here, which is negative 9 over 5 over 2 times negative 16, 2025. Once I plug this into my scientific calculator, I got 113.90625. After we get this number, which is the x value of the maximum, we plug it back into the equation, and we get 104.02 feet. Part D. How far from the punter does the football strike the ground? For this part, we're going to need to find the x-intercepts, also known as the zeros. So for this part, I set the equation equal to 0. In order to get rid of the fractions and find the zeros, we're going to need to get rid of these fractions. The number I found was negative 4,050. You can divide by negative 450 from all these numbers. The ending result was 0 equals 32x squared minus 7,290x minus 6075. After that, we need to plug it into the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, like so. After simplifying the negative, which is a positive, and the numbers here like so, 2 times 32 is 64. After simplifying all that, the next thing we can simplify is the square root. 90 times 6,657. And I also separated the plus or minus into 2 separate equations. The square root of 90x, or 90 times 90 is 90. So after that, we can take it out of the square root. And after that, we divide it by 2. If we divide top and bottom by 2, we get 3,645 plus 45 times the square root of 6,657. And 64 divided by 2 is 32. And the minus part as well. We plug both of these into a scientific calculator, or you can do it by hand, and we get x equals negative 0.83 and x equals 228.64. Because the ball can't land negatively, the answer is the ball landed 228.64 feet. Away from the punter. All right, thank you very much for listening. That was my OQOV.